Okay, we're letting it breathe as we get on our Facebook group. Looks like we're good to go. Welcome into the Huddle Up podcast. I'm John Kronenberg, filling in for Chad Jensen. How are you doing, Zack?
I'm imitating what I hope by now Chad's wife is going through in labor, hopefully pain-free, breathing it out, delivering his wonderful baby boy. But yeah, guys, if we have a different kind of look tonight, it's because John K., our producer, is co-hosting with me. Chad Jensen, as most of you know, he's in the hospital right now waiting on the birth of his baby boy, which the name of which, John, I don't think has been decided yet based on what I know and what you know. But we have an interesting show tonight. Talk about Broncos OTAs, talk about a certain quarterback that committed a certain turnover today, and it's also the Mile High mailbag. And again, we have the producer here, John K. We have myself, Zack Kelberman at Kelberman NFL. That's John K. MHH. How are you doing, though, John? I'm doing quite fine tonight.
I'm doing fantastic. Really excited to be able to speak to people for the first time in a long time. I haven't been able to speak about the draft, anything like that. So really, throw your questions at me tonight. I'm excited to talk about the Broncos football tonight. But as you were saying, with Chad, I don't think a name has been decided yet. So it's definitely going to be exciting to see what's going to happen. Definitely know that Broncos country is definitely interested in that as well. So why don't you lead us off with our first topic?
Yes, and yes, guys, as you heard, fire your questions off to John. I want him to bring the heat tonight, so anything you guys want to know about the Broncos, and make it care of John Kronenberg. But we're going to start off tonight's episode by getting into some Melvin Gordon talk. He gave an interview with the Jim Rome show yesterday. I wrote up the story today on milehighhuddle.com. He was asked, of course, about Teddy Bridgewater. He was asked, of course, about the rumors about, I was going to say Alex Rodriguez. I don't know why. Aaron Rodgers. Here's what he said, though, about Bridgewater. Quote, "It's just crazy. It's crazy because I train with Teddy in Florida. I've known Teddy, been throwing with Teddy, and catching with Teddy for a while. It's funny because I was actually talking with Teddy about Denver. I was like, bro, it's a great place. It was funny to see him end up here." End quote. Okay, that's a fairly vanilla quote. I mean, he helped recruit Bridgewater, and he knew him, obviously, from their connections in the NFL. He brought him to Denver, sold him on Denver, brought him into Denver. He got him to compete for a starting job. He got him to that point. But then, now, Alex Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers is in the scope of Broncos country, and there's rumors about the Broncos acquisition of the reigning NFL MVP. So he was asked, Gordon was, about the Aaron Rodgers rumors. Quote, "That's going to be bittersweet. My Wisconsin people," he played collegiately at Wisconsin, "are going to be hurt if Aaron Rodgers leaves, and I hate to see them sad. With that going on, it's just crazy. I don't want to speak too much on Aaron Rodgers because we got the competition between Drew Lock and Teddy. But it would be a disservice for a lot of fans to not see Aaron Rodgers play this year, regardless of what team he's on. And I'm sure that a lot of people turned on the TV because of him." Now, John, what do you make from those quotes? Did you look at it like it was a curious statement? Did you look at it like it was cliche? How would you summarize Melvin Gordon's comments on the Broncos quarterbacks and the rumors surrounding Rodgers? You're muted.
I think, first of all, of course, I definitely think that bringing in Teddy Bridgewater, he's saying all the right things when it comes to Teddy. I do think he actually believed that, though. He does want, Teddy to come in, be competition, be that veteran leadership. But otherwise, who else can deny that they don't want Aaron Rodgers coming in as much? Who's going to say things, against Aaron Rodgers? Well, I mean, for me, it's one of those things where I just really think Gordon is comfortable saying whatever he feels. I really don't think he's going to hold back. He's a veteran at this point. He knows what he's saying. He understands the politics of the NFL. So he's making those statements, and he knows who's going to hear it. He knows who's going to pick it up. And I don't think it should be anything shocking. I don't find that shocking.
He's holding something back himself. He's not in Denver. He's not at OTAs. He's choosing to train on his own right now. And what's interesting in that quote, he actually said, "It's a great place. It was funny to see him end up there. Not here, but there." And you know why he said there is because he's not in Denver right now. Right. So it's an interesting kind of survey into the Broncos locker room. It seems like, John, they're content with this Lock-Bridgewater battle. If not content, they're at least resigning themselves to that eventual fate. Aaron Aaron Rodgers is not coming to Denver. Deshaun Watson's not coming here. None of the quarterbacks in the draft came to Denver. It's looking like Teddy Bridgewater versus Drew Lock, and may the best man win. And it seems like the locker room is embracing that.
Yeah, I think the locker room has to embrace it at this point, though. What do you expect them to say, really? I want Aaron Rodgers to come in here. If Aaron Rodgers does come in here, they can talk about that after the fact when the move is made. At this point, you have to prop up your own guys. I don't expect anyone to say anything otherwise besides that. I mean, that's how I feel. And again, with Gordon not being in Denver, I see that as, he didn't come in Denver last year that quickly either. Remember, he signed the contract, took some time. So I'm not surprised by that at all. He probably loves being in California. That's where his home is at this point. That's where he's made his bread and butter. So I mean, I'm not blaming him. He's not forced to come into these organized team activities at this point. So that is what it is.
This is kind of an aside, but I was looking through the quotes after the Broncos selected Javonte Williams. He was asked if Gordon reached out, and he said, yeah, he reached out on Instagram. He said, I'm happy to train and work with you. I just find it funny that Melvin Gordon's not in Dove Valley, John. He's not in the facility. He's not working with his teammates. It's another year where he's training away. Even though it's voluntary, it is his right. He just saw two now former Broncos hurt themselves away from the facility. He has a young second-round rookie vying for his job. A couple weeks ago, he promised to endear himself to Denver and prove he's still an RB1 in the NFL, and doesn't show up for OTA. So I think that's who Melvin Gordon is, but I do appreciate his honesty with the quarterback situation.
Yeah, and I agree with you. But I do think that this presents an opportunity for Williams as well. So we can't think of this as a completely negative. So I'm definitely, I understand where he's coming from, but we'll keep going with that. But I do see a super that I wanted to get to. So I'm going to back out for 1 second while I get that, because it did skip. So I'm going to get that while I do that. I'm going to be hopping in and out a lot here today, everyone. So if you see me hop in and out, I'll be back in a second. So why don't you handle this super that we got from last night? Sure. And while I do that, I'll get some others in the back.
Yeah, guys, it's going to be kind of an unconventional type episode. You have me full screen tonight, like good old times on 24/7 Sports. Anyone remembers that? John is so valuable as a producer. I love having him on here, but we need him in the background too. So if you see him pop in, pop out, if you see me go big screen every now and then, don't get scared. Don't reset your monitors. It's okay. I do want to pull up, though, John, if we can. I want to add this. Last night, literally as Chad and I clicked end broadcast, and a second after it ended, Jeremy, Black Knight, hopped in with this donation that set the all-time Super Chat record for the Huddle Up podcast. Listen, we don't like talking about that too much. We always just want your interaction. We always want your banter. We appreciate each and every one of you. We've never asked, but we have to acknowledge the fact that he blew us away, and he is now etched forever, Jeremy is, on the top of Mount Rushmore, holding the individual record for donations. It's a lot of coin, John, and I could speak for Chad when I say it's going to help us further and advance and fine-tune and upgrade the brand, allow us to have new content, new VIP materials, new items in the store. It's going to help the site become better, us become better. And Jeremy, if you're listening out there, no amount of thanks or appreciation coming out of my mouth right now can do this justice. It's a tough time right now in the country. I realize that everyone's out for their own, and I fully support that kind of lifestyle. But for you to bestow this type of generosity and this gift on us, it means the world, man. And again, from Chad, he was blown away. We were just shell-shocked after hopping off last night. And if you saw me on Twitter, John, Chad, Jeremy, I literally had the gif where the guy was just in shock. It was different shots of him, and that's how I was last night. So thank you so much, Jeremy. And I want to shout out, John, I believe it's Black Knight 323.
Yes, so that's just a little bit flipped for his Twitch handle. Definitely does a lot of different streams, been doing a lot of Mass Effect. So if you guys are into that, check out his Twitch channel as well. It's a fun time. I head over there all the time. So feel free to do that. And great follow as well.
Yeah. And again, Jeremy, thank you so much. We never expected anything like that. We will never ask you or anybody else to do anything like that. But your generosity literally humbles us more than we can ever express. And I can speak for everyone on this podcast, everyone who works for this company. We appreciate you so much. Thank you once again.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Really want to get really quickly into the matters of business. As we were saying, this is the Huddle Up podcast.
I get the left side tonight.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Time.
That's how it's going to be. Give us a follow at Huddle Up Pod on Twitter, as well as the mothership account at Mile High Huddle. Feel free to also join us. Click the blue button at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Become a supporter. You'll get excellent stuff like the Trickle Zone. You get Kelberman's Corner on Sunday. Just great content always, and it's really a fun time. I love being in there and just watching that. As well as if you're able, I would appreciate it if you're able to head on over to the store, get some nice gear. I know you got the dad hat on. I'm kind of wearing the traditional old school Broncos one, just because I know people are always talking about which style they would like the Broncos to go into for their new logo or something like that. They're always saying, let's switch it up. I'd go back into the 60s. Also, would love it if you just head on over to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. And the biggest thing that you can do is subscribe, like, and share. That really goes a long way, helps us grow, reach new like-minded fans like yourself, and be able to, again, expand this, grow the community like you guys all are here today. So thank you so much. Okay, perfect. Going to get into a few more comments here while we get this going. Why don't you take it away real quickly?
Yeah, I can. I'm just perusing the comments. John, we have support for you already, though. In the shop with Willie, one of our great listeners. He's $2 super. Thank you, Willie. Just here to support my man John tonight, killing it. See, John, you were all, I don't know, you didn't want to come on with me tonight, but I promised you have an audience here. You have a following here. They love you.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate everyone speaking to you in the comments. Always is fun, but being here kind of face to face it's really nice to be able to speak to you a little bit more closely. I do want to shout out Muhammad real quickly as well.
I always want to shout out Muhammad, our resident male model. I hope baby Malik is doing really good, Mo. Thank you, $5 super, one of our esteemed members of this community. He goes, the beast and the dragon in the house. It is going to be epic. And he flexed for us with, I think, 6 flex emojis. So thank you, Mo, for that. We hope you're having a good night. We hope you like tonight's different sort of podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mo. It's always great. Again, like I said, we speak all the time, but really congratulations on Malik. And it's great to be able to speak with you. Do want to show off as well. We got George in here at 440 coming in really early. Got a super sticker. It's the pair doing the thumbs up. Sorry, I got it where he's a little squinty eyed, but they definitely have the pair. And it's always great to see that little pair come up. It's kind of a signature now of all these stickers. I really enjoy that.
It is a pair. I didn't know what that was. It's wearing a little Baker Mayfield headband, though, it looks like.
Yeah, I think, let's see. It is.
I think.
Yeah, it is. So definitely appreciate that. And we got Michaela coming in here. John is a rock star. We love you. I appreciate it, Michaela. I know you're always supporting us. It's always great to see you as well.
And that's why she's a Duchess, John. So Michaela, thank you so much for your support. Take me to your leader. That's a new name, I believe, John, unless I'm mistaken. I haven't seen that before. It would stick with me in my recesses of my brain. Welcome, though. Hey, everyone. We appreciate you. Feel free to drop a question if you have one. Gary Leeds Palmer, good to see. See, John, I'm talking about your fan base is growing.
Yes, it is, definitely. I'm at 800 followers. I know it's not where you're at and the other guys are at, but hey, I reached that 800 finally, so that feels pretty good. Got Kevin Peterson in here for a while. Hasn't seen him in a while. Really great to see you, KP. It's been some time. So why don't we get a little bit on the topic at hand, though? Why don't you talk us a little bit about what happened at OTAs today? Okay.
Well, in the interest of fairness, I decided to write up the article. You can see it. John, why don't you pop it in the chat for everyone to see? It's been up now at mylinehuddle.com, doing really well. OTAs today. Broncos had, I believe it was day 3, and there's no live tweeting or live, video or photos from practice. So the team, the Broncos, on Twitter put out a 44-second highlight video. And at 40 seconds in that highlight video, a quarterback is throwing an interception. At least we think he's a quarterback because the Broncos, the way they edited the footage, it just shows Simmons picking off the ball. It doesn't show who's throwing the ball. But apparently some sleuths on Twitter slowed down the video and happened to see Brett Rippon and Teddy Bridgewater on the sideline in back of the play. So by process of elimination, John, 3 minus 2 equals 1, I happen to believe that was Drew Lock. And if he was throwing to Simmons, that's first versus first in that sense. So, of course, Broncos Twitter, at least the sect of Broncos Twitter that wants Locke gone, which is a big sect, they hopped on this as, he's the same old Drew Lock. He's never going to change, still throwing interceptions. And I want to just say, please pump the brakes. I mean, this is May 27th, and he's in practice, and he's throwing against possibly the best defense in the NFL and one of the best safeties in the NFL picked off the pass. I promise you Teddy Bridgewater will throw a pick either in the coming weeks or in training camp or in the preseason. It's not going to be the last one we see at Broncos practice, John, but it just reaffirmed that a lot of fans out there, and I'm not gatekeeping, I'm not telling you how to be a fan. If you want to overreact to a 2-second discriminate, vague clip from an OTA practice on May 27th, that's your prerogative. That's all you. All I'm saying is this is what happens in OTAs. This is what happens when offense versus defenses play each other. And if you guys know anything about the NFL, anything at all, every single year, every single team at this point, again, May 27th, I want to caution, the defense is usually well ahead of the offense in terms of installation for the upcoming season. It doesn't matter that they're returning the same coaching staff, they have the same playbooks, it's just they're further along in that process. I'm not going to sit up here, John. Last thing I'll say, I guess it's not great that he threw a pick. I mean, I can't celebrate that, but this is what the kind of player that he is. He's going to take chances. He's going to push the ball down the field, and he's damned if he do, damned if he doesn't. If he throws horizontal, he's killed for not taking chances, and if he takes chances and turns it over, he's killed for turning it over. I just don't understand the overreaction, though, and I truly never will.
Yeah, I think I saw the play. Definitely go check that out on milehighhuddle.com if you want to see the clip put together by the Denver Broncos. I can't fault anyone for throwing interceptions in OTAs. It really is one of those things where, what do you expect him to do? Do you want him to throw it away in the practice, give away the rep, not give it to the defense? I mean, the defense earned that. So it's one of those things where I saw the pass. It was intended to Fant. It was in double coverage, which definitely is something, you don't want to see. Oh. But it's one of those things, again, what do you expect him to do? Do you want him not to force it, throw it away? I don't really expect that to happen in OTAs. I don't think that's what any of the coaches want either. So for me, it's really a non-issue, but at the same time, I know people are talking about different zip from Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. They're diving into those few plays that the Denver Broncos showed really, really heavily and making decisions off of that when it really is just OTAs. Got to give it some time to breathe. As we always say, let it breathe. Got to get used to the receivers again. It's much easier for a DB to kind of go at it. Simmons, he's the best in the league, as you said, highest paid safety. He's going to go attack that ball and make that play. So definitely.
It's funny that you say that because as I wrote in the article, looks can be deceiving and it's all subjective. You see what you want to see because earlier in the day, the Broncos actually released a clip and it was 2 passes. It was Locke throwing to Judy and it was Bridgewater throwing to Tim Patrick. Locke's pass was a rifle right on target to Judy, who caught the pass, by the way, held on to it. A rifle, perfectly on time in stride. If you want to look at Bridgewater's pass, it took a little longer to get there, a lot longer actually, and it lagged behind Tim Patrick. And we're talking about a 3-yard slant. This wasn't a 30-yard out route. So if you want to judge passes and OTAs, it works both ways. If you want to crucify Locke for throwing a pick, how about criticizing Bridgewater for throwing behind his receiver on a 2-yard slant in an OTA practice? This is what's going to happen. Someone mentioned in the comments that Mahomes threw a pick in practice yesterday. Should he be cut? Should he be replaced? I mean, I understand never lump those 2 quarterbacks in the same sentence, Locke and Mahomes, but it's practice. We're talking about practice. This is what happens at this time. This is how they get better, and better on May 27th than September 27th, October 27th, December 27th. Get it out now. I want to see these chances. I want to see him push the ball down the field. I want to see aggression, and I want to see urgency. So if it means throwing a practice pick to Justin Simmons, so be it.
And even to speaking to Teddy Bridgewater's throw, I saw it as there was a person in coverage and there was a safety coming there. So I understand there's less zip on the ball, there's less going on there, but I also have to defend Bridgewater in saying that, hey, maybe you throw it a little behind him because you don't want a receipt, you're just practicing that so a safety doesn't come down and hit him, which is what I saw a little bit in that clip. However, again, at the same time, I'm not going to fault him there. It really is one of those things where it's practice, and that's how I view it. So why don't we get to real quickly? We're going to go back to Teddy a little bit in a second. I want to get to Stu.
Zeus. I like it, John. That was a good one. That was a good Zeus.
Thank you. He's Stu or McPeak coming in here with a 1999 Super. Let the competition begin. How's our offensive line looking so far? From what I've heard, they're doing basically individual practices. Right. So you're not going to see, you're not going to hear too much about it. But again, I've heard nothing but good things, honestly. I haven't heard much on Massey. That's where I really want to hear more about is Massey and the right tackle. But I'm feeling good when it comes to the guard positions and, of course, with Bowles. So I really think the Broncos are going to be a great team in terms of the trenches this season, especially if Massey can come along and see where Miners as well.
It's so weird to say, and of course, I'm okay with Bowles. We feel comfortable. It's just weird to have that mindset still, but I'm happy. Like John said, it's tough judging offensive line play in spring and OTAs. It's a lot of 7-on-7 drills, and the teams aren't practicing full bore ahead just yet. And you have players like Dalton Reisner who missed a couple practices. You don't have that cohesion. You'll get that earliest in training camp. That's when we'll have a more concrete report and update on the Broncos O-line, because we'll see them go up against each other in the trenches, goal line drills, pass protection drills. That's when Munchak will sink his teeth in with the front five. But like John said, based on everything we've heard so far, which is, again, infantile, it's been positive. And also Quinn Miners, Bowles gave him a giant compliment, called him a beast. So yeah. I think that's a positive encouragement as well.
I'm very excited about the competition between Miners and Cushenberry. I really do think that's going to be beneficial for both of them. If Cushenberry came in, by the way, and was able to work out, get stronger, I'm really excited to see how that's going to progress him as well. So it really is. There's a few competitions going on, but I do think in terms of the guards, we're going to be set with Reisner on the left side and Glasgow heading on over to the right guard position. So appreciate that very much, Stu. Want to get to Sam Bam coming in here. Hey guys, how do you see the cornerback depth playing out? Wondering if Ojemudia will be seen as a starter or more as a depth guy. Go Drew Lock, let him hate.
First of all, Sam, thank you for your donation. That's very generous of you, and you come on extremely strong as of late. I would hope Ojemudia is not a starter. Otherwise, they wasted a lot of money in Kyle Fuller and Ronald Darby and a first-round draft pick in Pat Surtain. I like what Ojemudia could be in the NFL, but I think that's at most a cornerback 2. Whereas Kyle Fuller is a cornerback 1 when he's on. Ronald Darby last year was a cornerback 1. Pat Surtain was drafted to be a cornerback 1. Ojemudia, like you mentioned, Sam, great depth piece. I mean, he came on fairly strong last year after his drop issues in the Green Bay Packers game and everything like that. I'm sorry, the Packers game, the Steelers game. That was a horrendous game for him. But you also have the Sang Bassi back there. You have Duke Dawson. You have some other players that are fighting for their own spots. So it's going to be tough for Ojemudia to crack the lineup and see significant snaps. But as a cornerback 4, let's say, you could do a lot worse.
And we did see Ronald Darby speak to the press today, and he did speak about, in terms of the cornerback depth and all those different things, how it's much easier for him to assimilate right now because of guys that have been in this system before. Remember, Kyle Fuller has been in this system with Fangio when he was in Chicago. So Fuller, I know he's not there at OTAs right now, but that's one thing when you can expect when he comes in, he's going to know this system in and out as well. Simmons has been with this system another year. Jackson has been in this system for another year. So I know that's talking about the safeties, but again, other cornerbacks, I think you're going to see a lot of the depth is just going to be quality. Even with, Kerry Vincent. So there's competition up and down the board. It's really going to be one of those things where the Broncos are going to want to get as many people as they can on the practice squad. And if not, the players are going to be stolen, to be honest. They're going to be picked up by other teams that are needing those cornerbacks, especially if Bassi doesn't make it or something like that, where if they're put on maybe PUP or something like that, you have to stow them away that way, maybe on PUP or something like that. So it's definitely something to look into, but I don't think Ojemudia is going to be playing too many snaps with so many other guys, but he's definitely a great depth piece.
God, I wish Fuller would get to Dove Valley, though. He's another guy that's training on his own right now. And even Vic Fangio said, I had an article about this as well on MileHighHuddle.com. He doesn't really know what's going on. He just assumes that it's voluntary and he'll be back for mandatory practices. But I read a quote from Simmons, and he said he's talking to Fuller. He talked to him, and he can't wait to pick his brain. And I just wish, come on, Kyle, just get to Denver already. Let the best safety in the NFL work with you and become even better and thrive in this defense.
I agree with you there. We got Black Knight in the house right now. We just want to say thank you one more time. We did give you a shout out at the beginning, but really it means the world to us. You're keeping the lights on, and really great to see you in here tonight as well.
And again, any Twitch streamers, again, his Twitch stream is Black Knight 323.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
Okay.
So,
give him a follow, guys. Great Twitch streamer.
Definitely. I'm going to pull up. We got a Dave from Georgia coming in here. Still with a $10 super. Really appreciate that. Still the best Broncos podcast there is. Hashtag Beast and a Priest. Hashtag State of Being. Hashtag Broncos Country. Really appreciate that, Dave. If you have any other questions, let us know. We'll get that in there. And as we're going, let's see. I
also agree with Dave. It's the best Broncos podcast out there. Just saying.
Yeah, I have, again, when I listen to some other ones, there are plenty of great different podcasts with different flavors. You can find it, but hey, we have our community. Yeah. We love our community. We love you guys. So that's why it really is so much different than some of the other podcasts, because we are so connected with you guys and we're able to speak to you and get to your questions, personally. So going to get to Simon here with a $10 super up in Canada. What up, guys? Do you think PS2, Patrick Surtain Jr., will be starting by the end of the season? Which of the rookies, safeties, do you think will get the most reps?
Great pair of questions here by Simon. I'll take the safety question. John, you take the first question. So I really like Jamar Johnson more than Caleb Stearns. I think he's more impactful. I think he has a higher ceiling, and I see way more Simmons, and I see more of a Will Parks or a Kareem Jackson and Stearns. And I just want the playmaker out there. If he can get some other aspects of his game fine-tuned, he was, a mid to late round pick after all. The Broncos could have a steal and a future starter at safety. I'm really excited. After Surtain, after Baron Browning and Pookie Williams, I really want to watch Johnson play in that secondary.
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off that a little bit. I do agree that Johnson is the guy you go with over Stearns, who you're going to see more reps go to. But again, they're both going to be competing on special teams a lot. So those are other ways we're going to see them and see them make flashes until then. But I'd love to see those guys get in there as the third safety, make some movement, really confuse the defense a little bit with some of those substitution. When it comes to Surtain, I'm not seeing him starting by the end of the year. Honestly, he's going to be in there in so many different sub packages. I mean, if we're really to say what are the starters, we're going to say there's three cornerbacks that start: Callahan, Fuller, and Darby. Again, that's how it's listed for the starting positions. So he's going to be in there plenty of snaps, though. So it's not something I really have to concern myself with in saying he's the starter. All I care about is how many snaps is he going to get? How involved is he going to be in, and how impactful he is in those select snaps? Because if he dials down those plays for his snaps and understands what he has to do, that's really all you can ask for, especially from a rookie who's coming in as a first round pick.
Yeah, and apparently, like you mentioned, they're going to move Surtain all around the formation. He can play some safety, he can play some nickel, he can play some, outside cornerback boundary. I will say on paper, I don't think the Broncos want to rush him along too much. That's why they went out and signed two other corners. But keep in mind here, John, Bryce Callahan is an injury risk, much as I love watching him play, and Ronald Darby has an injury history as well. So if one of those players goes down, it's going to thrust Surtain into a lot more action than the Broncos might be comfortable giving him in his rookie season.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. So if something does happen, yeah, he'll definitely be in here. Got Tanner coming in here with a super $9.99 super. Really appreciate that. Just showing some love as always. And he's, like I said, he's always coming in. Oh, yes. So keep it up, boys. State of Being, hashtag Broncos for life. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Tanner. Always good to see you around here. Now,
one question, we'll get to Beowulf real quick because this is the Mile High mailbag. We want to get to all of your questions.
And John, you are a football priest, by the way. Not honorary. You are the third football priest. So we are your football priest. It is Thursday, the Mile High mailbag, and we are here to provide your absolution for all your burning Broncos questions. hopefully I nailed that. Chad, if you're watching out there, text me and let me know if I got that. But again, if you have any questions, guys, we have another half hour, so fire them in. We'll try to get to as many as we can.
And we got Beowulf coming in here. Sup, fellas? Checking in a little bit late. So glad practice is finally here. I'm fitting for some FBI. Did Chad?
Football.
Oh, from some football. Thank you.
No one's fitting for some FBI, John.
I needed to understand it. Thank you so much. Did Chad have his little pony yet? Why don't you fill that in a little bit? Why don't you handle that?
Yeah, I've been texting him, on and off today. I asked him about 15 minutes ago, did the delivery start yet? And he said no. His wife is still being dilated. I hope I'm not violating HIPAA right now or any personal details, but no, everything's going smoothly though. Everything's on track, and we will let you know whenever we know.
Yeah, and very excited to welcome into the Broncos community. We'll definitely get some pictures hopefully soon. It will be very exciting to see that. And let's see.
Maybe he'll make a guest appearance on the show Sunday.
That'd be very soon. But if Mama Bear is okay with that, I think we can definitely look into that. Gonna get some Twitch followers here. Got Veach coming in here. No picks in OTAs would mean you don't need OTAs.
That's a good point.
That's a great point.
That's a good point.
OTAs, this is the again, why I think he threw that interception in the first place is why throw away the rep? Give it to the defense. I really don't know if that rep honestly was him thinking, I don't throw it away in practice. I really need to understand that point for me to say that was a full interception, because I really am pressed up against it. We're thinking, hey, he had to throw that ball. That's what the coaches would have wanted. So that's really my mindset when it comes to locking that interception. It's no big deal. You can't think of that as anything really as a big deal.
What's the point of practice if you're not going to use it to get better? I mean, practice is made to make mistakes and to get the kinks out now before the bullets start flying in September. So if we're ruminating over an interception that we don't even know the context, we haven't seen the full play, John. Yeah. We weren't there. I mean, we don't have the all 22 footage. It could have been the ball slipped out of his hand. It could have been numerous things. I'm not going to overreact to one interception on May 27th when I promise you, in early June and during mandatory mini camps, I'm sure a Broncos quarterback, whether it's Bridgewater, Locke, or Brett Rippon, is going to turn the ball over. And we're going to probably overreact to that too, because it's what we do in our society now.
Yeah, and I just want to look for a few more here. Let's see. Why don't we grab BNS real quickly with a $2 super? Really appreciate that. Zach, you're okay with bowls? Wow. Crow Pie, # all pro bowls. BNS, really appreciate it. Obviously, you were one of the first people really hard on bowls at first, but I really, you came along, you kind of ate some of that crow pie, and now you're rolling with it. I really do appreciate that.
I misread crow pie at first, and it kind of made my heart skip a beat, but yeah. BNS, we appreciate you. As the Bowls news service, he's always there to provide anything Garrett Bowles, and I'll own up to it once again. John, I still get comments on YouTube harking back to when I was tough on Garrett Bowles, as if I haven't apologized and rectified that in the last, 6 months since he's been performing at a high level. So, yeah, I'm okay with Bowles, and it's nice not to have to worry about the left tackle the Broncos drafted in the first round to be the blindside protector. It's nice to see him develop into that reliable blindside protector they used a first-round pick on.
Yeah. Want to get to Nathan Brown here real quick, saying Fant is going to be fire, obviously, this year. I agree with that, but I do want to segue a little bit when Fant was speaking today to the media, just speaking about how the team came together for him in his time of need when he was having the funeral with his mother, unfortunately passed away. I know that was very for me, I can definitely understand why that was so emotional for him, and having that support from his teammates really does show that I think this team is a very close-knit group. I think that's something you have to look at and be, really be aware of at this Broncos team, that this locker room is very strong. I just really want to mention that there's leaders in this locker room, top down, every position, every different, room that you're going to go into. There's going to be a leader in there to really support the rookies and, get the veterans that are new additions up to speed.
Yeah, I watched Noah Fant's presser today, and it's been, a couple weeks, John, since he lost his mom, and The amount of inner resource and strength and character and will he has to go on and do his job and sit in front of the press who are asking private details about his life. I mean, John, I couldn't imagine when I lost my father, it was, 6 years ago now, going on 6 years, and I quit work for like a month, and I wasn't in the NFL. I couldn't be around anyone. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't function. So I give Noah Fant all the credit in the world, and I'm so happy he has that support system around him because he deserves it. And it's a travesty, and it's so tragic what he's been through at such a young age. I really have a lot more respect for him now after that.
Definitely, and really do feel that way for him. And it really, again, the coaches were also there. I do want to note. So this isn't just the players together. The coaches were there as well. So it really shows, again, tight-knit group. And it's a huge deal for me because if you're going to be a team, you have to really gel together. It just doesn't work when you're, nitpicking with each other. That's why when it comes to Bridgewater and Locke as well, I don't really expect to hear as much griping between, as the players, at least at this time. Unless there's something bad going on with the quarterback position, that's when you kind of start to hear it.
Now, if the coaches would just be there for Noah Fant in the playbook and on Sundays and get him the freaking ball. I mean, you have a potential perennial Pro Bowl top 10 tight end who, by the way, John, is going to tight end U. It's that new tight end camp, I believe, being launched by George Kittle and
Yes.
Travis Kelce.
It's with Greg Olsen and Travis Kelce, but I'm not sure what's going to be the status of Olsen with things going on with his son. I'm not sure if you heard about that with the heart, if you remember. Yeah. So I'm not sure where that's going to land, but I really do hope the best for Olsen, by the way, when it comes to that. But we're going to see a lot. That's going to be fun to see. Definitely.
And it's going to make him a better tight end, too. And if he's even better, I mean, just get him the ball. And that falls on the quarterback as well. I mean, when in doubt, target Noah Fant. # feed Fant. I mean, I want to see him just blossom this year.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We have Base Gaze. Haven't seen you in a while. Love the photo as always. Great to see you with a $4.99 super. Any word on Justin Strnad? Does Browning put his roster spot in jeopardy? I'll let you handle this one first, and then I'll piggyback off of you.
I don't think – I mean, you can judge Strnad and Browning in a vacuum. And if you compare them as inside linebackers, I just think Baron Browning's ceiling is just so much higher. And he's so much more of a dynamic player. I don't think Strnad – this is maybe my opinion is skewed by the fact I never saw Strnad as a savior at inside linebacker. I saw him as a nice depth piece, and I like where the Broncos got him coming out of college. But he's an injury-prone guy who missed his first year with injury. We don't have that concern with Baron Browning, and he's just more of a sideline-to-sideline guy. He's better in the box. He's better against the run as far as I'm concerned. He has better positional flexibility, can play inside or outside. I don't think it's going to put his roster spot in jeopardy, but as long as Browning stays healthy, I think that's his job to lose, whereas Strnad is a depth player and a special teams player for Tom McMahon, assuming he's healthy.
Now, I know you all listen to Nick Kendall a lot. When it comes to the linebacker position, he's been saying that the position is better than what fans have been saying. I do agree with that in some sense, especially with some of the starters. I think there's going to be a rotation, honestly, when it comes to this. So when it comes to Strnad, he definitely can earn that position, but how many linebackers are going to be on this roster? I think the Broncos, when it comes to Joe Jones leaving to Tampa Bay, Joshua Watson is going to come in and be that kind of special teams ace. So he's technically an inside linebacker. And so, how many are the Broncos going to keep? I don't think Strnad is in jeopardy. But Browning is a nice piece. He was brought in here for a reason to switch things up with the Broncos. But again, you also have to look at Alexander Johnson and Josie Jewell with only 1 year left on their contract. You can't really go into next year with not having any linebackers signed up. Point. So this is just a nice way to have two players going to be there, going to be safe there. And, I'm excited to look what Strnad can do. But again, rotational piece. I don't see him being in there to be a starter, putting his nose in the ball when it comes to those first, 2 downs. That's what Johnson and Jewell are there for, to really disrupt those running downs. So maybe on some passing downs, but again, that's not really what I would expect too much to see Strnad, though.
That's a good point about the contract situations and the future. And also the Broncos learned this last year, unfortunately. What happens if Browning or AJ or Josie gets injured? And then, you have to have guys on the roster beyond the starters. And you can't have all pros as backups. So Sternad, it's a win-win for Denver. He's a late-round pick. If he doesn't work out, you haven't invested anything. He didn't play last year. And if he does work out, you have another inside linebacker. And if he can help come in for 2, 3, 5 plays a game, if he can help stop a third down in coverage, I'm all for that.
Yeah, agree with you there. And we're going to get Dale Rudd in here with a $5 super chat. Really appreciate that. Checking in late. We'll go back and watch the beginning when posted. Hey, John, great to see you on screen. State of being. Hey, really appreciate that. Just saying hello. Great to see you in here. Thank you so much.
We're going to have to get you your own show. I think the demand is there now.
We'll definitely see it. Got to smooth things out. You see at the start, I'm a little bit slower, but I warm into it. I'm getting running. We're going to get there, everyone. Don't worry. I want to get to Jimmy John real quick here when he's saying, what position does Pookie play? Obviously, some people don't know that he goes by Pookie Williams. So he plays running back. He's Javonte Williams.
Jimmy John's playing my stomach right now. I'm hungry. I want a sandwich. But yeah, he plays running back. He's probably going to be the Broncos' future at running back. He was drafted for that reason. And John, I don't know if you saw, but George Payton was talking about the acquisition of Javonte Williams, and he made it seem like no matter what, he was going up and getting him. That was a player that was really, really high on the Broncos' big board. And if you're really high on a running back in the second round, you have big plans for him. So I think he's the future, and he will take Melvin Gordon's job by year's end.
I agree. I have to agree again on, we're on the same mindset here a lot of the times. And I do think that he's going to make a play for that starting role eventually. It's just a matter of time essentially. And if Gordon can hold on to the ball, like everyone's been saying, if he can, secure the ball, maybe it doesn't happen until the later in the year, but Williams has a lot of potential. And again, they grabbed him for a reason up top there. And I think, for me personally, I haven't been able to speak upon it, but I would put him ahead of a lot of the running backs that were taken a little bit earlier. So like your Harris, for example, your Najee Harris. I think that, you have Gordon there. You have one more year left with him. Really run the ball with him hard. You have that last year left. Don't feel worried about saving his legs or anything like that. You're able to ride him a little bit, save Williams maybe for the playoffs once he gets a little bit more accustomed to the scheme. But he's also great at blocking. I do have to note that as well. That makes a very valuable player.
And the good thing about Williams, unlike Royce Freeman, the Broncos aren't getting a running back with no tread left on his tires. I mean, he wasn't used that much in college because he was splitting carries. But John, I speaking of spouting off, I want you to address Tom here. $2 super. Thank you. Tom, is John a Lock advocate? So, John, please tell our audience how you feel about Mr. Drew Lock.
Let him hate. That's how I feel. I'm definitely a Drew Lock supporter. I think he has a lot of different tools that are really working for him well. And when it comes down to grading him off of, again, 18 games, that's basically one season now, as we have 17 games now in the season. Again, he switched from Scangarello into Shermer. I really don't have this mindset where we have to know him by going into year 3. The Broncos have 2 more years with Locke. They can also franchise tag him by the end of that. So if things start to pick up, Locke starts looking well, then there's a lot of different options. Locke has a future here. They can start thinking about that. But again, he has to prove it. So I think Drew Lock, he came into OTAs. He's looking the part. Now it's just a matter of, can he actually follow what Shermer's plan is for him, and does he actually fit within Shermer's plan? I know that's something that I'm not convinced when it comes to Shermer, but it's one of those things. I'm very fond of Locke, and I think he can be a top 16 quarterback, top 15 this year, and again, develop further. You don't want to say by year 3, he's no longer going to develop as well. I just don't put that on any player. I don't think you would put that on we'd put that on Bulls. We saw what that happened. So we're, as BNS is always talking about, are some of us going to have to eat crow pie when it comes to Locke? I think so. But again, at the same time, if he doesn't perform, I understand moving on when it comes to next season.
I just shudder to think what the franchise tag is going to look like by the time his contract's over, John. Like $50 million for one season. Missed me on that. But we have Naj jumping in, 1999 super. Thank you so much, Naj. Good to see you, by the way. You've been infrequent in the podcast lately, but we always appreciate your viewership. He said, hey, brothers, what, if any, changes in approach do you anticipate from this coaching staff this season? Okay, John, I'll take offense. That's the more exciting one. You take defense. Offense, the whole approach has to change. I mean, they let Phillip Lindsay walk. I still don't understand that, but they have Pookie Williams, they have Merlot Gordon, they have Freeman, they have Mike Boone, they have a fairly competent backfield, but they have the receivers, and I think the offense should go as these weapons go. I mean, why surround any quarterback, Locke or Bridgewater, with the likes of Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Noah Fant, even Alberto, Tim Patrick, I mean, Tyree Cleveland. You have playmakers literally sprawling throughout the offense. So the approach on offense should be from Pat Shurmur, get out of 1995 and come into 2021. Push the ball down the field, be creative, and keep opposing coordinators on their toes. Keep them up at night, having a game plan for those weapons. I mean, he has such a blessed situation, Pat Shurmur, and he's squandering it. I mean, other play callers out there would kill for these weapons. Look at Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. He has one receiver and one running back. Look at what the Broncos have by comparison. So push the ball down the field, get the weapons the ball, use KJ Hamler in space, target Noah Fant, get Cortland Sutton one-on-one, help your young quarterback out, and just play 2021 football. That should be the approach on offense.
When it comes to the defensive side, I'm really thinking you're going to see what you saw last year. There's not going to be too many changes. The coaching staff, they have the big difference is they're getting their players back. So that line's going to be healthy with Purcell hopefully coming off that Liz Frank injury. Jones as well kind of had that knee injury a little bit midseason, so he's going to be healthy, going to be a force to reckon with. So I think what you're going to see is a lot more when it comes to just the Broncos aren't going to need to overcompensate for certain issues with their defense. So you're not going to see as much Alexander Johnson coming in those A-gap blitzes because you're going to have Chubb and Miller coming off the edge to get that pressure. So you're not going to need as much interior pressure, especially if Melvin Gordon can come in there and start to step up a little bit, get some pressure when it comes to the passing downs a little bit for that, especially. So I think it's just going to be a lot more calm. When you saw from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they kind of against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, they really did use a lot of what the Broncos did. So I think you're going to see a lot of similar stuff like that going on again. And again, just not overcompensating for certain deficiencies in that in the defensive scheme.
And for the love of God, stop playing cornerbacks 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. You have man-press corners throughout the secondary. And I know you play a lot of zone coverage, but don't give the defense this cushion. It just puts your secondary in bad positions. And I know that's predicated on pass rush. And like you said, John, if Fangio doesn't like to blitz sometimes, he gets extremely conservative, and he's allowing his horses to get there. But sometimes you have to blitz. Sometimes you have to bring the pressure because it dictates the quarterback how they're going to respond. I better be on my toes. They're going to come after me. You have to get in their head. So I agree with what you said on defense, but just be a little more aggressive in terms of blitzing and in coverage from Fangio and Donatello.
Yeah, that's a great point about press as well. That could definitely benefit. Just giving them a little shove at the beginning of the routes.
Yes.
Just set them off
especially
little bit.
Tight ends.
I agree, especially there with the tight end position. But again, I don't want those easy completions. I know it's bend but don't break is kind of the philosophy, but don't give up those easy 5-yard plays and have it 2nd and 5. Make it easy for the offense on 3rd down to make a decision on a run or able to play to their strength. You want to keep the offense off balance, and I think we're going to hopefully see more of that.
Yeah, Simon jumping in, $10 super. Thank you again, Simon, so much. He goes, any worries about interior pass rush? Shelby Harris is solid and Draymond Jones is a stud, but I can't think of other D linemen who can get to the quarterback. Are we lacking in good depth pieces? John, you just rattled off a few of them, but Deshaun Williams, I think, is a guy who has a lot of breakout potential. I mean, he kind of came out of nowhere. He's almost like the last couple years version of Shelby Harris where no one knew his name, but he just makes plays. They let DeMarcus Walker go, but they brought in Najim last year. And Deshaun Williams, I think, is the biggest beneficiary beyond Shelby Harris and Draymond Jones. What do you think?
I agree with you there. I think in terms of interior pass rush, I really do like Williams. I think, like you said, last year he came on very well. He was very impressive. I think on 3rd downs, you might see him a little bit more. Obviously with Purcell, he's a run stuffer. He eats blocks. So if you're going to send someone on a blitz, maybe you do that. But I think the pieces are there. Again, depth, it's going to be a little bit of an issue for me. I know we brought in Stevens from Minnesota. Right. Really just a depth piece to me there. Don't see him being a pass rusher. So again, when you're pointing to talking about those A-gap blitzes, that is one of those things where the Broncos had to make up for the deficiency in that interior pass rush. So that is probably my biggest concern on the defense right now. But again, there's always going to be some flaws in defense, and there's, we don't know what other names are going to be available later. We're still, there's still plenty of ball to be played. We're just starting.
I mean, one guy that's a super, super, super dark horse that no one talks about is Isaiah Mack, who the Broncos signed really early this offseason, spent some time in Tennessee, and I believe with New England. You never know. With Bill Kollar, these gems can be polished and turned into freaking Pro Bowlers, John. So that's, as long as they have Kollar in the building, anyone they bring in behind the starters, they're always going to be impactful players. That's one position I'm not worried about.
Well, that's great to hear. And again, last year the Broncos were playing with Sylvester Williams again. So I think, again, you're going to see much better players from there, and you should be very excited about that. And it is going to be a better going forward for this year.
Yeah, no more of the Billy Wins in Denver. But Shane Daniels jumping in, $5 super. Thank you so much, Shane. Good to see you around here. In your opinion, besides quarterback play, what is the biggest thing the Broncos need to improve on this season? #GoLock, #GoBroncos. First thing, comes to my mind, it's not anything the players have to do, it's the coaching. All around the coaching, not just on Pat Shurmur, but McMahon should be, I don't know why he has a job still. He should be on the street right now. And Vic Fangio. We saw multiple times, not just one time, but multiple times last year. Look at the first game and look at the finale in particular, where his defense or his coaching, his clock management or lack thereof hurts the Broncos. So, yes, they'll go as Lockos or Bridgewater or whoever, but if Fangio keeps blowing timeouts or doesn't use them, if his defense can't get off the field to save their lives, it's really not going to matter. So I look for the coaching to also hit their potential, and I'm holding them to the same standard I'm holding to Locke. It's put up or shut up time for the Broncos coaching staff.
I'm with you there on the coaching staff. I will think about a little bit more when it comes to the player side. And when it comes to that, I think they need to improve really when it comes to, I'm just trying to think about it. I would say, I'm going to have to go with the coaching staff. This roster is set. I have to admit it.
Really
Besides, it really is. There's a lot of potential here. You have explosive players on offense. You have Fant. You have Okwuegbunam as well. Maybe the Broncos need to improve on getting their tight ends blocking, but I think Munchak can assist on that. I really do agree when it comes to that.
The smallest things is on the players, like tackling and blocking and catching the ball like Jerry Jeudy, but that's also taught from the coaching staff. That's a discipline thing, and that's a regimen thing that they're instilled into them. So to me, it trickles down from the coaching staff. But we got Brian Greenfield hopping in. John, $25 super. Thank you so much, BG. Good to see you. Hope you're having a great Thursday evening. What did I miss about Drew Lock with an E versus Teddy Bridgewater? We'll give a quick recap, Brian. We opened up the show talking about this, but the Broncos had their third, full-scale OTA practice today, and both quarterbacks were on the field throwing, of course, and practicing. And the Broncos shared a video where a quarterback, we can't see who it is, threw an interception to Justin Simmons, and by process of elimination, people determined it was Locke throwing the ball because Bridgewater and Rippon were on the sideline. So that's the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway you're probably reading about, Brian, is the overreaction to an interception that we don't know the context of on May 27th in voluntary OTAs. But like I mentioned earlier also, there was another video, Brian, that came out earlier today. Two passes, one from Locke and one from Bridgewater. The one from Locke was a slant, a rifle right in the breadbasket, in stride, no problem, beautiful ball. The one from Bridgewater was a little slower and behind Tim Patrick. So we can all overreact. And to answer your question, that's what you missed, the overreaction about Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater.
Yep, definitely had that same feelings with that as well. Let's see if we can get someone that's not a super chat real quickly.
We'll do rapid fire time. We needed like a little horn from now on. I told Chad about that, but when we get to like 10 minutes and under, we're going to do like a rapid fire round.
Right. That's a great idea. Really want to get Willie really quickly here in the shop with Willie. He wants to do a show with me. I would be pumped to get you on here and do, especially, you came on before. You very, very well spoken when it came to Aaron Rodgers, your opinions. Definitely great to have different opinions, strong opinions, because it makes us all better. I don't agree with everyone when it comes to their thoughts on the Broncos, especially, with the podcasts. But at the same time, I get better every single time I hear Eric speak, I hear Nick speak. Every single time I get better, and that's really the big thing. So I would love to be able to speak with you and maybe do a little bit of a give and take. Got Veach coming in here, 2112 on Twitch. Starting fast and playing with a lead would be what has to improve most, in my honest opinion. Money.
Yeah, I pulled this question up, John, because I want to give some love to our Twitch audience. And Veach, thank you for tuning in tonight. But this is a comment that I think is fair because it puts the onus on the coaching staff. Starting fast is on the coaching staff. I'm sorry. That's game preparation, that's intensity, and that's discipline. But playing with a lead and not squandering a lead or putting yourself in a deficit, that falls on the players. So, Veach, I perfectly agree with you. The Broncos have to improve roundly from last year, and it's not one or the other. It's not A or B. It's A and B. It's the players and the coaches.
Yeah, the Broncos do have to come out of the gates firing, and that's also talking about the schedule. The Broncos cannot have another start where it's 0-3 or, you get 1-5, anything like that. The Broncos have to come out, take advantage of, you're playing the Giants. I know the Giants got a lot better with who they were able to bring in free agency and things like that, but still, you have Daniel Jones. You got to attack that team. So I really think the Broncos have to start with their schedule as well, start out fast, and I think that, again, comes with fast quarterback play, getting Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater into the rhythm immediately in the game, and really just no holding back. Get everyone involved as quickly as possible.
Beat the teams you should beat. I mean, there's no reason why the Broncos can't go into week 3. By the way, possible MHH meetup in week 3 against the Jets. There's no reason why they can't be 2-0 going into that game. But Sam jumping in again, $5 Super Sam. Thank you so much. He goes, my future fantasy team wants to know if I should take Fan over Gronk, Tanyan, or Kyle Pitts. Your thoughts? John, I don't know how big into fantasy you are. I love fantasy. I play it every year. I'm not into the DFS. I'm more into the year-long type of fantasy. I know I'm a dying relic of years past, but I would take Fan over Gronk for sure. I think that was lightning in the bottle that passed last year. Tanyan is with the Packers.
That name, I'm just going to be frank with you guys.
Isn't that Robert Tanyan?
Yeah, I believe that's a Packer, but, I'm not 100% sure.
And Kyle Pitts, I'm sorry, John, real quick, right. Kyle Pitts in that offense, if they trade Julio Jones, which it looks like they will, I mean, his target share is going to be astronomical. But he still has Calvin Ridley in that offense. You don't know what's going to happen with Matt Ryan if he's going to stay healthy. But then again, you can't really trust Noah Fant in this Broncos, and that's sad to say. Not because of any fault of his own. You can't trust Noah Fant in fantasy because of the Broncos offense, because of the quarterback play, and because of the coaching. When those things improve, he'll become a weekly tight end 1. But maybe in the middle round, Sam, if you want to grab Fant, he can blow up at any time. And if he's used correctly, and it's a shame, if he's used correctly, that's a 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown guy, minimum.
Yeah, I agree with you. When it comes to fantasy, I'm not the biggest fantasy fan, but depends on the round as well. If you're getting, mid-round, you take a little bit more of a risk. But Kyle Pitts, as you were saying, you got to love if he's able to get those targets. And Calvin Ridley is, more of the feature wide receiver as Julio Jones is traded hypothetically. Yeah, that's a nice pick. That's a nice pick.
If he use a top 5 pick and a tight end, you better just be force-feeding him targets. So I would take Kyle Pitts, I think, fairly high. But if you have a spot on your bench, Sam, I would grab Noah Fant because, again, if he pops off, I mean, that's just an all-star, all-world talent. But Dale Rude jumping in again. Dale, thank you so much, man. $5 super. I want to see the defense get more turnovers. Haven't we been towards the bottom since Fangio came in? It seems like I haven't seen a turnover since the Super Bowl, John. It's SB50, back when Von Miller was strip sacking Cam Newton. They haven't been forcing those turnovers. As good as their secondary's been, having the pass rushers and Fangio, they're mostly just a bend but don't break defense, though. They're willing to cede the yardage, cede a field goal, and preserve giving up a touchdown. But with that comes no turnovers. And it's surprising because Simmons was the only guy creating them. They made him, one of the highest paid safeties or whatever, the highest paid safety in the NFL. But they got to get that production from more people. They need it from cornerbacks, from linebackers. And that's why you saw the Broncos go out and draft Pat Surtain. That's why they drafted Baron Browning. That's why they brought in Kyle Fuller, who's known to create takeaways. Ronald Darby, not known for that, so he'll just be hopefully locking down people in coverage. But his addition will allow the Broncos and opposing quarterbacks to hold the ball for a split second longer. And when you hold the ball for a split second longer, one of two things could happen: a sack or an errant pass, which could result in an interception. So the numbers, if they don't go up this year, John, I mean, that's a fireable offense to me off the bat. There's no excuse with this pass rush, with the secondary, and with the coaching why they can't tee off on more quarterbacks and force more picks.
Yeah, I know the Broncos have been getting a lot of their turnovers, unfortunately, from tip passes on the defensive line. I know that it's great when you see Harris do that, but I'd like to see more turnovers where it's, like you're saying, having more pressure, having the quarterback hold the ball for another split second where the cornerback can go ahead and make a play. Maybe there's more press, as you were saying a little bit earlier, getting more aggressive when it comes to your cornerback play, because the Broncos really do have to get those turnovers. That's how you get your offense in great positions to make those different plays, to be able to get ahead in those early stages of the game. So I really do think the Broncos have to get more to that and not rely on so much when it comes to Shelby Harris and those great tip passes.
Yeah, we have some comments that are saying, coach better and catch better. And these are all fundamental things the Broncos can improve at. And if they do, they're going to be a force this year. But Christian jumping in, $4.99 super. Thank you, Christian. So good to see you. He goes, hey, guys. And by the way, guys, we're officially past the hour mark. That doesn't change regardless of Chad and I, John and I. So we're going to have to kind of wind it down. But we'll get to every question we can tonight. We don't leave any superstars, John, as Chad would say, in the dark. So, Christian, hey guys, any news on Chad? Said it this morning, but with Gordon's fumbles, Williams takes his spot by the end of the year. Thoughts, hashtag let him hate. Nothing new on Chad. He hasn't texted me back, so either he's ignoring me or he's kind of busy right now. But last I checked, everything's still, the process is still ongoing. They're still waiting for the delivery to take place. And again, when we know, there'll be a post, I'm sure, on Twitter, on Facebook, Chad will post pictures. You will know, Christian. In terms of Williams, though, we said the same exact thing, or at least I did. I mean, it's only a matter of time. It's when and not if that Williams takes Merlot Gordon's job, because he's not an $8 million a year running back. He's really not. And the Broncos are so high on Williams. To not only take one in the second round, but to trade up for him and pretty much intimate we will do whatever we can to draft you. This is a guy who's going to be the long-term starter. And I'm right there with you, Christian. I think not even by the end of the year, by Halloween, it could be Williams' job.
I'm with you there. We spoke about this a little bit earlier. My opinions are Williams was taken very early, and the Broncos obviously saw something in him. Williams also offers a lot on third down. He just offers so many different options for the Broncos. Also is a good receiving back. And I know that wasn't something that Gordon, we didn't see him do last year as much as we would have thought, especially when the Broncos signed him with that huge, $16 million deal for these 2 years. I think that's something you're going to see, hopefully, Williams do a little bit better, and maybe that's something that pushes him over the edge compared to Gordon.
Yeah, and Kyle jumping in, $10 super. Kyle Wielden, says congrats to Chad. First of all, yeah, we all extend our congratulations to Chad. And Kyle, thank you so much for hopping in and dropping that super. We appreciate you. If you have a question before we get out of here tonight, please feel free and we'll get to it. BNS, though. I'm sorry, John. Real quick, BNS jumping in, $2 super. Thank you, BNS. If the offense rolls this season, hashtag the lock blessed monster. It's okay.
So I actually love the lock blessed monster concept. To me, it's I have to admit, for me, it's funny, especially if you can, get a cool T-shirt to go with that. I think if Lock does well this year, maybe we can think about that as a shirt or something like that. It's a cool idea. You let us know in the comments what you think about that. But one other thing I want to get to real quickly, we have some stars I know coming in from Facebook. Brad Murdoch, you're always in here consistently. I'm sure we have Gary Lee Palmer's, so many other people that come in here every single day. Travis is the one who always also does it as well. So I really appreciate that. Unfortunately, I can't go and look back and see those right now, but we really do appreciate it. And again, thank you so much. Probably have Claude as well coming in here with Go Broncos. Hopefully we're able to get to some of those questions for some of our superstars on Facebook as well.
Yeah, we'll keep scrolling through the comments here. Any questions? Again, you guys, we're winding down. We have a super from Mike, $5 super. Thank you so much, Mike. Good to see you. He goes, we have a chance to be relevant this year. Yeah, the Broncos do. And more than that, they have a chance to go back to the playoffs this year. They have a chance to really make their claim in the NFL that they're not this basement-dwelling loser franchise. Real quick, John, little tangent. I saw a tweet, and I believe – I'll put him on blast. I believe it was from You Fantasy, or U Stadium Fantasy, whatever. It was some infographic that kind of ranked teams by tiers, and I don't want to misappropriate the bottom tier, but I believe it was like dog poop or dog water, something really disparaging, and it was like the Lions, the Raiders, and the Broncos, and they don't belong there. They're not that. They're a proud franchise. They won a title not that long ago compared to teams that never won one, like the Lions, for example. So they're going to be more than relevant. I think they're going to be a double-digit win team as far as I'm concerned. 9 or 10 wins, maybe 11 wins, a wild card berth, and they're going to make some noise. Way more than relevant.
Yeah, I think relevant is definitely they're going to be a contender, in my opinion, if Locke can get things going. I'm not saying a Super Bowl contender necessarily, but this team really has so much potential when it comes to if they can all live up to it. There's so many different weapons on offense. Who do you not go after? I mean, if you're a defense, who do you say, okay, we're going to let this guy be on single coverage and let him do his thing? If you do it with Sutton, deep ball. If you do that with Judy, he can take a slant and take it to the house. Same thing with Fant, as we've been talking about all day. So for me, the Broncos can be relevant. They could have been relevant last year, in my opinion, too. So laying that aside, though, want to get to Travis here, kind of saying the same thing as well. Just want to give a shout out to him just because, again, he's always in here clutch supporting us. It's time for the Broncos to win again. Again, being off of that, the last 5 years have been hard to go through. If this year goes bad, it would be great to hire Eric Bieniemy. He's a former Colorado Buff and definitely has a lot of insight on the Chiefs, and I know he wants to be a head coach. I definitely like the Colorado connection, but I went to CU, so that's kind of a little bit selfish on my end. But when it comes to Bieniemy, I would be excited with him, but I don't think I'm looking to a coach right now thinking about that, just because I really want to see what this season brings. But it definitely is a thought for the future.
Yeah, and the good thing is, and thank you, Travis, for your comment. The good thing is, John, it looks like in the next coaching cycle, it's just littered with offensive minds, and most of them young. Eric Bieniemy, Kellen Moore, Greg Roman, Brian Daboll, all those are names for the Broncos to attack next offseason if they get to that point where Fangio is no longer employed by Denver. But I believe, I don't know, did we get Dave and George's super?
I do not remember, so go ahead and throw that up if you can.
Can you look in the back end?
I'll go ahead and do that. I'll look in the back end. Why don't you handle this one with Nathan Brown if you don't mind? I said I was going to get to it a little bit earlier, so go ahead and this with.
Oh yes, okay. Nathan wants to know what's up with the Jalen Smith rumors, and we were talking about this, John, before we went on tonight, and I haven't heard anything out of Denver linking them to Jalen Smith. I've heard out of Dallas that apparently the latest rumor they tried to move him during the draft, and according to WalterFootball.com and I don't know how credible they are, John, based on their history, but they said that teams that were interested in Smith looked at his game tape and were no longer interested and declined to pursue a trade. I don't think Dallas wants to move him this year. I think they want to let him play this year with Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, and Randy Gregory, who they have on defense, and let him walk next offseason or cut him. I don't think the Broncos, on the other hand, would be interested. Why would you take on a linebacker who is – his entire 2021 salary was fully guaranteed. So $9 million you'd be taking on. You have Bradley Chubb. You have Von Miller. You drafted Baron Browning. You have AJ. Why would you want Jalen Smith, who never blossomed into what he should have been coming out of college? He's a very underachieving and overpaid linebacker. So I don't know where those rumors stem from, Nathan, but the Broncos have no use or no need for Jalen Smith.
Yeah, I saw those rumors as well. The first place I saw them was Chat Sports, so I'm not really sure where that came from. But again, they do good work. So I know some of those rumors I've been hearing around, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's one of those things where I don't expect to see Smith come here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. When it comes real quickly to Dave from Georgia Super, we did get that. I do want to thank him again, though, for the $10 Super, saying still the best podcast, Broncos podcast out there, if you don't remember that Super. So really appreciate that, Dave. I know you've been going through some stuff, and really just great to see you in here and be able to participate.
Yeah, I just he's such a great listener and such a great supporter. We want to get him twice. We'll take a couple more questions here. We're at an hour, 8 minutes. I'm about an hour 9 now, so we have to hop off in a second. But I want to get some non-supers to close up the week of podcasting today. Jack Kenna on YouTube. Thank you, Jack. What do you fellas record versus the tough AFC West? So what do you think the record would be, the Broncos versus the AFC West? Can we remove the Chiefs?
let's go ahead. Let's just separate the Chiefs. Let's handle the Chargers.
I think they can go 1-1. I mean, there's been times where they've gone kind of toe to toe with Mahomes in Kansas City, and they could take him down if things broke a certain way. So they could go 1-1, but I'm not holding my breath. I think they can sweep the Raiders, and I think they can sweep the Chargers. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I think it can happen.
I agree with you there. When you looked at last year against the Chiefs, the Broncos competed with the Chiefs up until the second half, if you remember. They really were going toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. It's one of those things where the defense eventually broke. Players were getting hurt. They were coming off the field. You can't limit that offense for 4 quarters without getting points on the board with your offense. So I think that's a big thing. If the offense can produce this year, I do see it as being a potential with the Chiefs 1-1 split. Raiders, as you were saying, I think that's a potential 2-0, especially with I like to think if it's at full capacity with the season, like we're hearing, that the Raiders game, the Broncos fans can just do a little quick trip on over to Las Vegas and make that a little bit kind of a neutral site, so it can be 2-0. And same thing with the Los Angeles Chargers. It's always kind of with the Chargers, you know it's going to be a little bit home field advantage for the Broncos, unfortunately, when they're away. So greatly, actually. So I think the Broncos can definitely become get 5-1 if they live up to their potential. Not sure if they're going to, as you said.
Yeah, apparently Dave had a question about Deontay Spencer. So Dave, maybe we can't get it in the back chat. So if you have be sure to pop the question again. Okay, there it is. Is Deontay Spencer on the bubble? And thank you for your patience, Dave. It seems like, John, they want him on the roster for one job, which I know you feel the same way. I hate it. I mean, you used a second-round pick on a receiver who had punt return experience and return experience in college. Why not double up? Why not get some use out of KJ Hamler, especially if you're not using him on offense? I would say he's on the bubble. He'd be on my bubble, but the Broncos seem to like him, and McMahon seems to like him, and we all know the influence McMahon has in that front office.
For me, I think I've said this a lot of times when we were speaking privately. Deontay Spencer, he has to be on the bubble. For me, his value is only in the kicking game and punting game, and the Broncos were having huge issues when it came to that last year. How many times did you see Locke backed up at the 5-yard line? How many times did you see the coverage, do something where there was a penalty? I'm not saying that's all on Spencer, but when Spencer has that feeling of, hey, I know what my role is with this team, it's to return punts and kicks and make explosive plays. He's going to take those inherent risks more often that I don't think he needs to make. He can let the ball go ahead and go back in the end zone, make some fair catches. That's just simply what I haven't seen from Spencer at all when it comes to the Broncos. And I don't see other value when it comes to him on the offense. You have so many different options. Cleveland, Hamler. Cleveland can return just as well. So we saw him returning kicks at the end of the year. We saw Callahan returning punts because I felt like he was able to make those secure catches and really not put the Broncos in those bad situations. So yes, I think Spencer is on notice. He has to perform at a top rate level in order to stay on this team.
And apparently we had a troll in the comments, and he's been dealt with. Low Lip McGee, which just sounds like a Kansas City fan. He's in timeout. So Low Lip, see ya, buddy. Yep. I want to just give a shout out real quick. Jeremy hopping in again, the new proud record holder of the Super Chat Superstar donations. Thank you, Jeremy, so much. And again, guys, if you're a gamer, if you're into Twitch, follow this man, Black Knight 323 on Twitter. I promise you, great follow, great Broncos fan, and great supportive member of our community. Thank you again, Jeremy, for your generosity.
Really appreciate that as well. I love to watch you on Twitch when we speak a lot there. So we'll definitely speak soon.
But, John, I believe we are caught up on Super Chats, and we are about an hour and 13 minutes in, so we have to wind it down for this evening. I'm going to just give my little goodbyes real quick, and I'll let you handle the matters of business for tonight. But thank you guys, everyone, for tuning in tonight. I know it's a little bit of a different kind of podcast, not having Chad here, but I think John killed it. I always have a lot of fun talking with him, and hopefully you enjoyed as well watching us on here talk about Broncos OTAs, the overreaction to interceptions, and the whole quarterback battle. That's just getting started. We have a lot more to go over in the weeks ahead. And yeah, Sam, 5-1 versus the AFC West, split with Kansas City. I would love it. And you know what? It's not that unrealistic. Again, guys, the Broncos will make some noise this year. Bet.
Yeah, and just want to say thank you to everyone. I had a great time. Obviously, I started off a little slow, but we got things running like I said we would. And I felt like this was a great pod. I really do appreciate you guys being with me. And as we're getting out of here, why don't I run through some matters of business really quickly? This is the Huddle Up podcast. Really did enjoy it. Thank you so much, Zack. You can follow him at Kelberman NFL, as well as me at John K MHH. Feel free to I would appreciate it if you gave us a follow at Huddle Up Pod on Twitter, as well as the mothership account at Mile High Huddle. There you're going to see all of our articles come up there. That's where you see them immediately posted. So if you want to get the most breaking news when it comes to the Broncos, be able to see those clips as we were speaking about when it comes to those throws from Teddy Bridgewater as well as from Drew Lock, and be able to see those not as we're just speaking about it. Head on over, become a follower there. And also, come on Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, become a supporter, click that little blue button, and you'll get great content when it comes to Eric Trickle and his Trickle Zone, as well as you with the Kelberman's Corner. I'm not sure if you have anything to give a sneak preview yet, but okay, we're going to keep that quiet, and as well as with Kim Becker, she's great as well. If you're able to, and in a financial position, would appreciate if you were able to visit our store, huddleuppod.com, get your swag on. Really appreciate that. There's definitely some new stuff coming that I've seen some concepts on, so very excited about that. And the last thing that you can do that makes the biggest difference, again, subscribe, like, share, reach those new fans just like you. Really appreciate that. Any last words as we get out of here, Zack?
I have no last words unless you do, John. I just want to say another thank you to our wonderful audience for tuning in all week with us. Another great podcast tonight. We'll be back in the saddle Sunday night, though, for our usual Huddle Up podcast. I believe Chad will be back. I don't know. He'll update us on his status for that, but I know by Monday he assured us he'll be back in the saddle. So it might be John again on Sunday night, but regardless, I'll be with you guys, our supporters, noon Mountain Time, Kelberman's Corner on Sunday. Don't miss it. Back in the saddle Sunday night Huddle Up podcast. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend, John. Have a great weekend, everyone out there. Take care. And as always, come on, John, with me.
Go Broncos.